I would like people to please hear it with a little bit of concern as also with concentration. It is, as you know, is known as in line with online. And the objective of this session, ladies and gentlemen, is to discuss whether a lot of agents have been worrying about the fact, should they get online? Is it going to be an advantage? What are the disadvantages? Is it very expensive? Can I afford it? What does it cost? How do I market it?
Sure.
So these are worries which occupy the minds of most of us travel agents, standalone travel agents. I think we need to get that fear out of our minds, and this is what the panel is going to do. So whether we should get into online ticketing or explore opportunities about its investments and viabilities, or whether actually once we get into it, is it going to become viable for all of us? Ladies and gentlemen, may I request the moderator, Mr. Sunil Kumar, our Honorary Treasurer, to come on stage. Mr. Sunil Kumar. Mr. Sunil Kumar. Mr. Vindra? I mentioned it. Thank you. Can I request Dhruv, Mr. Dhruv Singhi, co-founder and director of Yatra, please come on stage. Mr. Himanshu Singh, MD Travelocity, can I have you on stage, please? Mr. V.K.T.Balan, CMD Madura Travels, can we have you on stage, please? Mr. Balan? And Vinay. Mr. Vinay Gupta, MD.
Check.
Just Go.
Check.
Sunil, would you take over, please?
Check.
Gentlemen, it's such a great honor to be doing a session at TAAI, especially when we have people from across India and different parts of the world present here to be at our business session. Teaming up with the theme of the convention, which is growth through evolution, here is yet another business session. After the people power, we will now move on to something that's more current, something that possibly every travel agent in India is looking forward to. Maybe some of us consider it a myth, while there is a lot of reality in trying to believe and perceive that in some time of tomorrow, we can go online. The session, ladies and gentlemen, is in line with online.
Check.
The name is obvious.
Check.
It's all about an online travel agency. Many of us are not too sure if we need to have an online presence in order to cater to a larger market. We are not even sure if our clients would move away to someone else merely because we are not online. It's a test between our efficiency manually versus the competency of technology. It has been rightly said, either we move up or we fall down. There's nothing called standing still in life. And this session has been added to give our delegates, particularly our travel agency colleagues, an opportunity to interpret with the scenario out there on the online space. When I asked some travel agents the effects of the online, the impact the online has on their companies, here are a few responses. People said they were losing their customers. I said, why? They said our customers are looking at convenience because they want an all-time access to ticketing. Ticketing online is user-urgent and user-friendly. Someone else said that the client believes that getting online ticketing is more transparent with pricing because it helps them with better pricing options. But then they come up a couple of agents saying, I don't think we would perish because the online equation is here, because we have something more, and that is that personal touch, which is so much a requirement in the industry today, particularly with relation to India. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we have this session with us. I would like to introduce our panelists today. panelists who are all stalwarts, who have a tremendous online presence, and who would possibly also try and figure out as to how the future scenario would be. But then with us in the panel, we also have someone who would talk in terms of what kind of funding is required and is it easy for us to raise that kind of resource. But then to begin all of this, we would also have a typical travel agency in the country coming up to say what is his perception of an online presence. I would quickly run through the bios here. Sitting to my extreme left is Mr. Vinay Gupta. Vinay is a professional turned entrepreneur who has spent most of his career consulting for Wall Street companies on technology projects, as varied from cash management systems to investment banking applications. He has consulted for Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Merrill Lynch, and in his past assignment, he was a senior consultant in the market business with the Credit Suisse, at First Boston in New York. He returned to India in 2005 and started his career as an entrepreneur in our industry. And today, Vinay has laid the foundation for Voyages Go, which was formerly known as Flight Raja, and to his credit, in his 1.5 years of inception, accomplished a turnover of 725 crores in just domestic air ticketing. He has a computer science degree from SV University, Tirupati, and is pursuing his CFA from CFA Institute of America. Put your hands together to welcome Vinay, ladies and gentlemen. Next on our panelist is to my immediate right, a company that's sponsoring this event. Yatra.com is the sponsor for this event in line with online. But then we have Dhruv wearing two caps, not just as a sponsor of the event, but also sharing his expertise with us. Dhruv returns to India after 8 years in Europe. The most recent role prior to co-founding Yatra was Director Group Operations and Technology of the very large e-bookers group, where he was responsible for sales of over $850 million. Well, Dhruv is involved with a lot of companies, particularly with related to technology. He was accountable for developing the IT strategy, for leading the technology development and infrastructure teams. Some 150 employees over 13 locations. He was also instrumental in leading the operational integration of a key acquisition by e-bookers. The integration achieved annualized cost savings of $20 million and 33% reduction of the UK workforce. Prior to his stint at e-bookers, he worked with Ford Motor Company in their business strategy team based in London, where he was a part of the European business turnaround team and also has significant work experience in India, having spent over 6 years with Arthur Andersen based in their office in Delhi. Dhruv holds an MBA from INSEAD and is a qualified chartered accountant, presenting the co-founder and director of Yatra.com, Mr. Dhruv Shringi.
Thank you.
To my immediate left, ladies and gentlemen, we have another young, very brilliant leader, Mr. Himanshu Singh. Himanshu is the managing director of a very large global online company, Travelocity India. Himanshu is currently the managing director of Travelocity India. Himanshu has been a part of the executive team at Zuji Technology, wholly owned and operated in Asia Pacific as a leading online travel company in that region, which is also a company of the Travelocity. Himanshu has a degree in hotel management from the National Council of Hotel Management, Ministry of Tourism, a master's in tourism and hospitality management. He's completed an advanced general management development program from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, for his project on strategic next steps in electronic distribution. He attended the Foundation of Leadership program at the Tata Management Development Center, Pune. Himanshu's alumni connections include Welham, National Council of Hotel Management, IIM Bangalore, Administrative Staff College of India, Hyderabad, Cornell Hotel School and leading hotel school of the world. Himanshu's been awarded the TAAI Business Excellence Award for 2005 for outstanding contribution in the individual category and is a recipient of the Sales and Marketing Super Achiever Award for 2004 and 2005. Himanshu is a member of many travel and industry associations, including the IMA, HEDNA, and HSA. Presenting, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Himanshu Singh from Travelocity. And to my immediate right is someone who represents many of us travel companies in India who surely have a local presence, who possibly can be called the local champion, but have we registered a national impact? Have we gone ahead building an online connectivity? Is our visibility evident to the world at large? And to echo the sentiments of what an online, an established local travel agency, a standalone travel agency, an offline travel agency is going to be like, what are our perceptions? And to share all of this, we have our very own member and the MD of Madura Travels, Mr. V.K.T.Balan. I'm sure there's a lot in this session for every one of you with questions in your mind. Do I go and deliver an online presence? Am I looking at a possibility of raising the kind of resource to create a portal? Is online presence a necessity today? Is the industry shaping to be a very bigger one than what it is today? But then before we get on to the specialist views, we will first hand over the floor to Mr. Balan to share his perception as to what a typically local travel agency or a standalone travel agency, what kind of a perception this travel agency stands for future in terms of online connectivity. Mr. Balan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vanakkam. After a gap of 18 years, the TAAI convention is taking place in Chennai, which is indeed giving us great joy. My grateful thanks and appreciation to all those who worked tirelessly to bring this convention to Chennai. I am really thankful for being given this opportunity to place before the august body some of my views and opinions on this topic, online with, inline with, online. Before my presentation, I would like to share a few words about myself. I had the opportunity of studying just up to 8th standard, and that too in my mother tongue, Tamil. Due to this factor, I can only speak in Tamil and no other language. If I speak in Tamil, some people may not understand, especially those coming from other states. So, if I speak in English, my views may reach the people. This is what our respectable President, Mr. C.V. Prasad, told me. And as directed by him, I am placing before you all my views by reading it in English. I will be very brief, and please bear with me if there are any mistakes. IATA is one of the creditable and respectable recognition extended to qualified agents in our industry. The efforts taken to obtain this recognition and the problems encountered by us to pay the bank guarantee as a follow-up, this recognition is too much. 20 years back, IATA agents were really flourishing in the industry, and they considered as a dignified honors. During that period, the total number of IATA agency at the national level would not have exceeded 400 in total. That period can be considered as a golden era, as we retained the commission fully without parting to anyone. Even our customers treated us with dignity and paid up their dues and outstandings on time. Dignity, development, and profit were the only factors known and nothing else. But what is the state of affair today. There are more than 2,500 ITA accredited agents. Welcoming development. We are indeed happy. 5 lakhs companies, commercials, corporate, and organizations availing their services. More than 3 lakh sub-agents are involved in this business, both directly and indirectly. Besides the above, crores of individuals are availing their services. Total value of the organization asset of ITA agents is estimated to a value of 5,000 crores and monthly turnover is about 20,000 crores. Indeed, the industry is a mighty kingdom, spread over the length and breadth of our country. But today, we regret to hear there is no need to get ITA recognition to do the sale of air tickets. Certain people are planning to sideline all the existing ITA and non-ITA agents and take control of their business potential by creating online portals. In order to get higher wages and remuneration, staff from ITA agencies are migrating to the BPO. And due to this growing factor, the ITA agents could not have 2 required qualified staff in their location. Due to this factor, they are losing their ITA recognition. Aside of this, by extending prolonged and unlimited credits, today the agents are in a state of misery, are unable to collect the outstandings. There are instances of owners who have committed suicide since they were unable to pay ITA payments, and certain others even closed down their shops. In addition to all this, the agents have to face the ongoing threat of zero commission to be imposed at any time. Under the circumstance, this sector is facing the risk of losing rupees 20,000 crores asset value and goodwill amount. At this juncture, the associations should safeguard and interest and welfare of its members with unity. The rapid development in the field of science and technology cannot be ignored, but the growth and development taking place in the sector of travel and tourism is being taken over and adopted by someone, leaving the hundreds and thousands of agents in trouble. Even among us, some are planning to introduce an online portal to bring it under their control. Many ITA agents, due to insecurity, started keeping business relationship with these online portals and thus losing their identity. In the prevailing situation, I place before you all a plan of unity among all of us in order to sow the seeds for starting an online portal at the national level, as there has been an overwhelming support from a vast majority of our membership as well as from other ITA agents towards this move. Towards this move and plan, consulted competent company secretary, legal experts, advisors, investment consultants who have graciously agreed to extend their valuable advice, opinion and support. These are all positive indications and atmosphere for starting an organization which would be a boon to travel agents. Without any doubt, it would be a huge national enterprise, unparalleled in its strength and coverage, if this were to take shape and materialize. Through this, the trade can be redeemed from the path of destruction to growth, stability, and prosperity. Some of the experts who have the technical know-how in online portal technology have already been in touch with me, and they have given their inputs as to how, with a just and reasonable capital investment, an online portal can be established, serviced, and maintained. There is a good and overwhelming response from vast majority of the agents. I know one thing for sure, that more than myself, there are people among you all who will know more about this. They also know what is the actual plight of ITA agents, more particularly our own members. To what extent our online portals will assist and help in finding a solution and salvation to this plight. I need a change in the present predicament of our members, who are deprived of all the sources of income, and it would be worse in the near future. I want a change which will give peace, happiness, and prosperity to our members. This is possible if we unite and work towards this. Thanks for your patience and tolerance in hearing me. Also, my sincere thanks for having given me this opportunity to present my views and thoughts. Thank you.
Mr. Balan, who represents a typical travel agency, is talking about insecurity. He's talking about going off the shelf. He's talking about the online presence, which can possibly lead a lot of losses to his company. He's talking about staff migrating to larger companies. He's talking about zero commission that's going to affect a standalone company. I think he's raised a lot of pertinent points. But then, is online travel agency going to be there? Is it worthwhile for us to move on? How is the world shaping up? I have with me my next speaker, who would briefly share with all of us as to how the world is looking at the online scenario. Presenting to you from Travelocity, Himanshu Singh.
I think essentially, I'd like to start with a little quote, which essentially is by Victor Hugo. And he defines future as, for the weak, it's about unattainable. For the meek, it's about not being sure, so it's unknown. For the brave, it's about opportunity. And I think that is the underlying statement. And let me dwell a little further on this and talk about some aspects as how we look at exactly some of the concerns that you've raised. Interestingly, some of those concerns have been turned into some of the biggest opportunities in various parts of the world. In fact, I think to address this, let me start from our own company, Sabre Holdings. The core business of the company was travel network. That's the GDS business, right? Which is the core business of the company even today. However, a few years ago, it was Sabre that actually first set up an online travel company. Now, it's interesting to look at this because, in a sense, by setting up the online business, we were, in some sense, going to be cannibalizing our GDS business, correct? Now, but why were we the first to set it up? Because there is an opportunity, and it's important to take control of the opportunity, then let it go. So hence, Travelocity was born to Sabre, which perhaps has the greatest handshake of with travel agents across the globe. So I think leading on from that, let me just rewind a bit and come to a few basic and thought-provoking questions. Let's look at the market dynamics as it is in India. Various estimates, but let me be a little conservative and state that the total travel market as we know in the country, by 2007 we expect it to be over 50 billion, correct? The next interesting stat is that if you look at the biggest travel company in the country, it turns around less than about 400 million, correct? So in a sense, the biggest travel company in the country has less than 1% market share. Another interesting stat, if you add the top 5 biggest travel companies in the country, they account for less than 10% of the retail travel business that exists in the country. And more than about typically 70% of that business comes in through a network of non-exclusive sub-agents, right? So hold on to these, and I'll correlate them to what I'm going to say next. Let's also ask ourselves a few more questions. Why is it that we've not, in the travel play, created a billion-dollar company? Why is it we've not, why is it that the biggest network of a single travel company has been limited to about 200 locations? Why is it that the biggest network, of a consolidator is capped at about 25 to 30,000 agents? Why is it that we've not seen a chorus happening in our industry? How many companies have seen 100% year-on-year growth in the industry? And I think maybe once we try and answer some of these very, very hard-hitting questions, we come back to the first quote, which is, if we have to look at the future, we have to take control of it. So hence, for us, it must be inventing the future. Leading on from that, I think I'll maybe talk about, when we talk about a travel agency moving online, it is not just about having a booking engine on your website, and it is not about spending tons and tons of money on marketing and technology. It's not that. I think if while there are lots and lots of stuff about it, but if I was to break this up into maybe 4 broad approaches, the first approach could start with you could be traditionally as you are, but you could start to leverage online as a communication vehicle. So you could look at various aspects of online marketing, whether that's online display, whether it's search, and various attributes therein, and start weaving that into your marketing strategy. Next, you could explore what is the right technology for your business. It's not the best technology for my business. It doesn't work. I can't have a V6 engine, put that in an ambassador. It will just not work. It doesn't work, for either the car or the engine. So I think what's important to determine is, yes, there are some of the greatest technologies available, and they are crazily expensive out there. But what's the best technology for my company? And that's the key decision that you need to make. A key decision around technology is also about, do I need to invest in that technology, or can I leverage, or can I white label a technology for myself? So first, I think it's about leveraging marketing and using that as a communication vehicle, so online marketing. The next essentially is about what's the right technology for yourself. The third is about, we talked about scalability. In fact, a lot of these things that I threw up, it's about scalability. Today, if you look at and go a little deep and analyze why have we not done a whole lot of things that we've said, is because, to a great extent, because of the margins that exist in our business, scalability is difficult because the cost structures are high. So hence, we need to use, again, technology, call it going online. We need to use this to make our business models more efficient, because the more efficient today, in case I have to set up a new location in the typical agency environment, I need to look at IRS certification, extensions of all of that, certain issues that come with it. However, what is it that we can do so that we are just, we take a decision to set up not 25,000 but 100,000 locations over the next 1 year? We must have our business model, our technology so scalable that we are able to execute that in 6 months, and it's doable. It's very, very doable. So, and I think the other aspect is how can I leverage technology, and how can I leverage, again, internet for enhancing my engagement with my customer, taking a better value proposition, and that's essentially what does an online company give a customer? It's essentially, while there are other things that we talk about, but it's essentially the 3 C's. It's about convenience, it's about control, it's about choice. So hence, how can I, in my environment, in my regular travel agency environment, offer those things? And that's not very difficult to do. We don't have to start getting to reinvent the wheel. For example, and I'll quote a few examples again from our company. Let me start with some of the biggest names. Some of the biggest names in leisure and corporate travel globally are actually our partners, for whom we, for example, let's take a case of American Express. If you go to americanexpress.com, you click on travel, that's essentially a white label that we do globally. The point is, let's go a little into depth of this. Is American Express in their own right is the world's largest travel company, correct? Do they not have the resources to do all of this? For sure they do. They can sink in millions and millions to commission the best of developers and have the most cutting edge technology. But I think it's about cooperation. because that's, and I think it's important, today in India are riding this outsourcing wave, the BPO wave. I think it's about understanding where our core competencies lie and going and building ourselves very, very strong in those core competencies in a focused manner. Other elements of my business which are important but may not be core, I could look at working with relevant partners to do that. And I think that's a perfect example of what we can do in online. For example, I'm not sure if many of you are aware of a network called the YTB in the US, which is a network of about 100,000 agents. And that's an agent, again, where we've come in, given our technology, given our content, and it's a thriving business. Similarly, the largest independent agents network in the UK, we actually provide technology and content there. So, and when I say content, it's about complementing content. It's not full-scale content. So, I think the models that exist globally, where the independent agents and online companies can come together, leverage their respective strengths, and build something which is great for us mutually. It's great for the customer, because absolutely, I think, and especially in India, there is no doubt that an online agency can only achieve X. For example, in the offline play, the connect which you have with your customers, you've perhaps known those guys since that guy was, maybe a 2-year-old guy, right? You've actually been, giving tickets to maybe his father and his grandfather. So the point remains is, in view of that strength that I have, in view of the abilities of, no credit card issues, blah, 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 how can I, in that business model, embed technology, which again, you don't have to invent. It is available. There are models that exist. How can I work with the appropriate partners and then build a model which is as competing? And again, I think, when Mr. Balan talked about, some of these examples, actually it's interesting because technology is the greatest leveler. For example, if you look at how the internet has worked, right? You have the biggest of chains like the Starwoods and the Marriotts, right? Who actually look at, spending phenomenal money on the online presence. But what's interesting is that today an independent hotel can go on to a certain of these websites, partner with them, and become as visible. So I think, and maybe I'll close with that saying, I think the name is coopetition and not competition. And I think there's ample opportunity in that for both to coexist and leverage on each other's benefits. Thank you.
Thank you, Himanshu. You have rightly focused on the options available to travel agency, keeping the global perspective in mind. I believe in India we have 14 million people carrying credit cards. And there is a statement from Worldwide Online Population Organization which says there will be 1.5 billion people with internet access in 2011, with the biggest growth in the online population occurring in Brazil, Russia, China, and of course, India. And according to them, the company anticipates a 38% increase in the number of people with online access, which will mean that by 2011, 22% of the Earth's population will surf the internet regularly. I think that's a huge population we would have looking forward to online opportunities. But now let's come to another company which has taken upon themselves the task of creating a national company, an online company, Yatra.com. And now we turn our focus on to Mr. Dhruv Shringi from his perspective about how online would impact India.
Thank you, Sunil. I just want to start by saying this is the first TAAI event I'm attending, and it's been a great privilege to be here. And I would just want to thank Mr. Prasad, Raji, and Sunil for putting together such a great show. I think a lot of credit for what's being discussed out here goes to you guys, so hats off to you guys. I think the thing that works about India is India has its own approach to doing things. We loosely term it TAAI in Yatra, which is this is India. Another equivalent of that is JT, Jugaad Technology. So things work very differently in India, and I think that's been my experience. That's what's caught me by surprise ever since I've moved back. So let's start with looking at the definition of, let's say, an online travel player in India. The reason why we've put our own definition of India and the online travel market out here is because the way we do things is slightly different. The online travel in India is just purely the use of the internet to enable a transaction either directly to a consumer or through an intermediary. I think the word intermediary out here is critical. because India has created this unique model of assisted online. I think if you go through some of the exhibitions out here, you will see there are some companies which profess this assisted online model, and that's something completely unique to India. In no other market do you really have this scenario of a B2B to C, i.e. a business to a consumer. So an online guy selling to an offline guy who's then selling to a consumer. And as Himanshu rightly pointed out, this is the opportunity for co-option in India. Okay. I think it's not about everyone trying to do the same thing. It's about people specializing in their areas, having that focus, and then using that focus and specialization to build on their core competence. I think a lot of the hype which is there around this online-offline conflict is, I think, just hype created by the media. Over a period of time, I think the dust will settle. As Himanshu pointed, there are large networks, there are examples of this internationally, where the two channels coexist. I think each channel has its own strengths and weaknesses. If you look at this, the key driver of the online right now is scale. Okay. There is a great need for efficiency in the processes. Ultimately, we are all selling something which is a commodity. I think we need to face that as a fact of life, that flight seats are a commodity. The airlines have their own unique brands, but as a reseller, you're selling a commodity, and to be profitable in a commodity market, you need to be the lowest cost producer. Hence, you need the scale. The online travel again is a booming sector. I'm just going to quote some numbers from Focusrite. I promised some people last night that I'll not quote too many numbers, but just a few of those which I think are very interesting right now. The online travel market in 2006 was about 3,000 crore rupees. In 2007, the same market is expected to reach 5,000 crores. And in 2008, touched the 8,000 crore mark. These numbers on a standalone basis sound astounding. But when you put it in perspective of the overall market size, even in 2008, the online market will only account for about 8 to 10% of the total market size in India. That's the scale of the opportunity which is there in India. And why has the online market boomed? I think there are certain unique elements to India which have made the online market boom in India. If you look at the low-cost carrier market, the low-cost carriers and IRCTC have done a great job of communicating the online world to the customer. They are the ones who've truly been the brand ambassadors. If you look at the European and the US scenarios, it was the online travel players who came first. The OTAs came later. In the Indian scenario, it's been the reverse. You've had the OTAs, so hats off to people like Deccan, people like Spice and Indigo, who've really gone ahead and created the market. OTAs in India have about 50% market share, and I think in a period of 3 years, that's no mean achievement. If you look across Europe, even after 8 to 10 years, people like EasyJet and Ryanair have a 20-24% market share. The other factor which we think will make online a success story in India is obviously urban chaos. The minute you step out of your house, the minute you get into a car, anyone who's driven anywhere in India, especially in the metros today, knows what a pain in the backside it is to get out of your car and go somewhere. You can't find a place to park, you're stuck in traffic jams. So online gives you the convenience of doing it at home. I think there are also, however, it's not all rosy. Till now, it's like there is this glamour about the online world, but there are definitely issues which are there in the online world also that exist. So anyone who thinks about moving online should also take those issues into account before taking the plunge, I think. Internet penetration in India today is about 4%, which is abysmally low. Okay, credit card penetration, you just mentioned the number. Credit card penetration is low, but credit card utilization is even lower. There are a lot of socio-economic factors which prohibit people from using credit cards, and that acts as a barrier to transaction. Supply side constraint, again, is like make it more difficult for the online market. We've all seen what's happening to the hotel industry in India. Hotels are booming. Capacity utilization is running at 80-90%. So as long as these supply side constraints remain, the focus would be only on flights. So what does the future hold for an online player or someone who wants to look at the online market? See, the online market will continue to grow. As Himanshu mentioned, there are the 3 C's. It gives you convenience, it gives you choice, it gives you the control as a customer, plus it also makes it transparent for you. And these factors will drive the growth. However, the growth will be more focused, I think, on certain products. So you would see a shift which would happen in the market. The point-to-point transactions, I think the box standard hotel, single night, 2-night hotel bookings, these are the transactions which lend themselves to being booked online. So this is what you will see being booked online in increasing numbers. But bespoke holidays, leisure travel, things that require personal touch, I think will still remain offline. So that's where there's another opportunity. It's like then people will still end up researching online, but then they might go offline to execute the transaction. So you have this opportunity now of working with someone or partnering with someone where the customer researches, but the offline agent becomes the fulfillment arm for the online agent. Broadband penetration. I think as broadband prices fall, the market will boom. That I think is going to be the single most important factor over the next 2 to 3 years. Research has shown in the US, in Europe, that once broadband penetration increases, a customer moves from dial-up to broadband, the amount of time he spends on the internet goes up almost tenfold. When you are on a dial-up network, the computer is typically in a back room. It's in a study. It's away from the family environment. So you feel it's a pain to go into that room, log on to the computer and work. Hence, your utilization is limited. When you have broadband, the computer becomes mainstream. It moves into your living room. It becomes a part of everything that you're doing. And that's when the true, the tipping point, so to speak, will hit in terms of the online market. The one parting thought that I want to just leave people with, and this is, I think, a bit of a digression from what we are talking about, but on a daily basis, there are 50 million people in China who access the internet using a mobile phone. If you apply the same ratio in India, there will be another 25 to 30 million people who will access the internet using the mobile phone in India. That would be the only internet that they would know. And once that happens, then I think that would put a whole new ball game, a whole new spin on the online travel industry, because then the online piece will become mobile. So you imagine as an agent, you go to someone's house, you have your mobile phone, you complete the transaction there and then in front of the person. That's the power of this. That's how personalized it will become. So from someone coming to you, you can offer that personalized service where you are at their doorstep servicing them. So I think these are the things which people will have to weigh before they take the plunge either ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruv, for those wonderful statistics you've given saying that we just 8 to 10% of our online businesses through these companies. But then there are a few statistics from eMarketeer which says that in India, the online travel market will grow at an average of 46% annually from 2007 to reach $5 billion in 2011. A growing middle class has become more comfortable buying railway and budget airline tickets online, and a slew of online travel agencies have been established to meet growing demands. There's another interesting statistic which says our airlines in India have a capacity of 235,000 seats a day, and the load factor at 70% on an average is 160,000 sold every day in this country. And therefore, I believe that online booking continues to be more dominated in this country in the domestic sector than the international sector. Well, when all of us are trying to look at the option of trying to go online, Himanshu trying to say you don't have to reinvent the wheel, you could go for simpler concepts, and some of us wanting to set up our sites, go through the entire process again. Is resource a big syndrome? Is it difficult for us? Is it a myth that we can't raise the kind of resource that we need to create an online travel company in case we want to? Well, we have with us via Just Go Travel founder Mr. Vinay Gupta, earlier known as the FlightRaja.com. And let's have Vinay, who's also a fundee, like everybody else gets funded. He's been very successful getting the attention of some global investors in his company. Let's have Vinay roll out those options and those opportunities that are available to all of us should we go online. Over to you, Vinay.
Just want to check the time. Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank 2 years back, I did not understand what CRS means. One day we mugged up what is a CRS and went to Amadeus, and somebody said, what do you think about the GDS? And then we went back to google.com and said, what is a GDS?